All right, welcome to Good Take. Wes Goldberg here with Dave DuFour filling in for Mike Shearer. You know Dave from the Athletic NBA show, does great work over there, and one of my favorite guests on RealGM Radio. And I'm bringing you on to fill in for Mike because, Dave, I know you got the takes, man. I know you think
That's
about
funny.
this game a lot.
I do.
You got great opinions. I love talking to you about the NBA and stuff. So we do have some good takes cooking up that we're going to get to here in a second. But before we get to that, we have to react to the news that's not even 24 hours old. Jaylen Brown traded from the Celtics to the 76ers. Paul George, a couple of first-round picks. Where were you when you saw the news? What was your instant reaction?
I was actually recording Fast Break Breakfast with Keith Parrish.
Yeah, another RealGM Radio favorite.
Yeah, as the news hit, and then we did a live stream, 45 minutes later. So
right.
I was all over it, I guess you could say. I think a lot of people got caught midstream. I know John Hollinger was recording a pod when it hit. It was kind of the middle of the afternoon, so we thought, okay, maybe this isn't going to happen today. We can safely go ahead and record our shows for tomorrow. Right. And I do think we kind of lucked out as far as the timing goes, because we were looking at I don't know. I mean, we were going to talk about Walker Kessler for 45 minutes. As interesting as that is definitely not the same as whatever the heck happened with Jaylen Brown in this trade. Like this is a trade that is in a lot of ways a little bit more crazy than the Luka trade. The Luka trade out of nowhere, obviously, and a god awful trade. But this is a bit shocking in that Jaylen Brown went from 6th in MVP voting to a salary dump. Right, that's the real shocking part. Whereas Luka is more of a rug pull. This is more of a plane crash in a lot of ways. So yeah, interesting.
Well, I would love to take the conversation in that direction because look, there's so much analysis. You guys have done it, we've done it. Analysis on the Jaylen Brown trade. TLDR, Celtics got worse, the Sixers got better. Okay.
Yep.
What this says about Jaylen Brown as a player, about the NBA as a whole, about just trade assets and value, how you just judge these things when you see Jaylen Brown essentially get moved in a salary dump, like you said, and then you see Walker Kessler go for what he went for, or Kawhi Leonard with all of the Kawhi levels of baggage that he comes with. The Clippers get more for Kawhi than the Celtics got for Jaylen Brown. I'm so fascinated just sort of in like the big picture of this, of where the NBA is and kind of when we see the transactions that have taken place over the opening few days of the offseason. Look, clearly the market just wasn't there for Jaylen Brown.
Sure.
And
for many reasons.
For many reasons. And we could do like the analytics thing, the debate, whatever.
I don't think it's that.
I
don't think it's that. I think the numbers that you need to look at are the contract numbers. That's the biggest one. He's paid like a top 10 player, and he's not. Period. He had a great season last year, though. And a lot of stuff coming out now. Derek White was the best player on the Celtics. I don't disagree with that, actually. He had an awful shooting season, but someone has to take the workload, and that's what Jaylen Brown did. It's like having a running back that can run 30 times a game. That's what he did all year. That's a hard job. And I don't think analytics, any kind of conversation about on-off numbers or whatever, it doesn't encapsulate what that job is. Because if that was the case, we would be saying Jalen Brunson had an awful finals, wouldn't we? We'd say, oh, wow, he had one good game. That 7 of 25 game he had was pretty good. A lot of this is just that's the way that the job works. So you are going to sometimes look worse. But the bigger thing to me is he makes so much money and he's got an extension that's coming up, right? No one wants to pay that. And especially, I think, when you look at the new Celtics ownership and the private equity influence there, I think that plays a hand in that. People don't want to be in the tax, and definitely not in the repeater tax. I mean, LaMelo Ball got traded because they don't want to pay that next contract. And so, it's much more about the contract than anything else, in my opinion.
He's getting $57 million this year, $61 the year after next year, and then $67 or $65, the year after that. And then you mentioned the extension that can kick in and maybe knocks off that last year. And if anything, it'll just be more money. So you're exactly right. This is a top 25 player getting paid like a top 8 player.
Yep.
And within the current environment of the salary cap, you just can't do that anymore. And that's it. That's what it is. It's that simple. And even for you get a guy like Kawhi, he's going to want an extension. He's not going to get that extension.
Right.
You know, and it's
I wouldn't be shocked if his extension it's more money, but similar to the Andrew Wiggins extension, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, it feels like a pretty good deal on the back end. Maybe it's like 2 years,
balloon
60
payment up front, a little bit less
right
towards the end,
exactly.
on the tail end. Yeah, that makes sense for Kawhi. So and that's it with Jaylen Brown. And then so you do that, and then you add in the fact that, well, he also wants to be the number one. That all this thing is that he wants to kind of have this thing. Ironically enough, I don't think he's the number one in Philadelphia. It's still very much Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
Who is just a better basketball player and maybe more importantly, already has the heart of the fan base where in a way that Jaylen Brown doesn't have it, obviously right now. So that's the fascinating part to me because like the guy finishes with MVP votes, top 5 in MVP voting last year. Second team All NBA, first team All NBA. What did he finish? Now I'm forgetting. Did he end up getting first team after all this stuff? I think he ended up second. Oh no, yeah, because Cade and Luka ended up making it.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe. I think this guy gets paid easily like a number one, and then some team, maybe more importantly, talks themselves into him being a number one. But it's so like this guy played like a top 10 player last year. There's no question about it. And yet nobody in the league pretends that he is a top 10 player. Everybody sort of agrees. Very good player.
And he plays, by the way. Like he plays.
He's very available.
Constantly plays. I do think that there is a disconnect, and he's such a valuable regular season player. I mean, extremely valuable for the regular season, and he's a very good postseason player.
I mean,
he won a Finals MVP.
Yeah.
So I do think that it's a tough conversation to have, but it's all about the money, and it's where those salaries have gotten. I think we're done with the days of, okay, we got our number one guy, and he's a top 10 guy. He's getting a max. And you know what? You're our number 2. You're going to get the max too because you're a part of this ride. That's over. Like that is done. And I don't know, like the 3-star era or whatever we want to call it, which is really when this kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously you can't build a team like that anymore because you got to have 10 or 11 dudes now to win. You get to have maybe one guy, and then you get the second lesser guy, but as soon as he's done with that second contract and about to hit unrestricted free agency, those dudes are getting traded. Mm-hmm. If you're not the number one guy, if you're not the tent pole of the franchise, keep your bags light because 7 years in, you're probably on the move.
Yeah, you know, the big 3 era came and went, and it was a failure unless you had LeBron as part of your big 3. None of the other ones worked.
Nope.
They never worked.
Nope.
And now you saw teams pivot to like a big 2, add more depth, things like that. I think what's really important is having a pecking order now. And if you just have a real number one, you just know, okay, this guy's getting the ball in crunch time. This is our creator. These guys play these roles. Having a pecking order and then defined roles around all of that is so important, which again, going back to Jaylen Brown, if he wants to be number one at the pecking order, we don't want to pay you like that. We don't want to treat you like that. And that's a problem. We'll see how it works out in Philadelphia. I really don't want to keep knocking Jaylen Brown, but he's the guy that we're talking about. So
I'm not even knocking him. I think he's good.
I'm trying not to. I
Philly
really
got
him.
So much better by adding him.
But he isn't. The reason he's not a number one is he's not a creator for others. And when you think about the number one guy in that pecking order, that guy needs to be able to create at a really, really high level for his teammates. And Jaylen Brown is an awesome play finisher. He can start plays by himself.
I think he'd be your second guy. When the ball swings to him, he knows what to do with it. And this is where I think he and Maxey are going to be great. And VJ Edgecombe is going to have a very easy year on offense, right?
Yep.
I think this team might be very good. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the biggest caveat is if Joel Embiid's healthy, that's a potential finals team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is a great trade for them. And I think if Jaylen will accept that role of, hey, look, I've got a good point guard here. I get to be not that, right? I get to defend a little harder. I get to finish a lot of plays a little easier. He could have a great year, like a very efficient year, potentially. I mean, he's a pretty good shooter. And especially in the way, he'll be playing with Maxey and Embiid, so he'll have less attention on him. It's not Neemias Queta out there.
Right.
Again, I don't know. I feel like the conversation on Jaylen Brown is way off. And if he was making $40 million, it would not be like this.
If he was making $40 million, he'd be
What
one
a
of the best
steal.
value contracts in the
Exactly.
league.
Yeah. So
and guys like him, who very good player, very valuable skill set,
right?
Just not the skill set of a number one guy. Guys like him used to be number one guys, right?
Yeah.
You used to be able to just say, "Hey, Tracy McGrady's our number one guy,"
right?
And what does Tracy McGrady get? Like, what's his value in today's? I grew up loving Tracy McGrady. Like, I don't want to say, but he kind of feels less valuable in today's game, doesn't he? Like the way that he played,
sure.
It's similar to Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I agree with that. I think that's a pretty good comp. I mean, obviously Tracy McGrady just on a different level as a scorer, but I mean, it's a very similar
role. On
similar role, right?
I think what we're also entering now is we are leaving the paint by numbers contract era, which is what I always called it, because you said this earlier, like guys used you just give them the max. You don't even think twice, you just give them the max. Well, we had 3 contracts in the NBA, but you had the max contract, you had a mid-level contract, and you had a minimum contract, and those were your 3 contracts. And I used to make this joke all the time. It's as if front offices didn't know that they're allowed to negotiate, that they could do numbers in between.
That's the biggest takeaway I maybe have from this free agency period is there's some weird contracts.
Yes.
Weird. Like Keon Ellis has the second year mutual option almost, but that's not something that's in the CBA. So like, I'm not sure how it functions. Obviously it's been approved, but I need to look at, I'm trying to find the language on this because it's weird. I mean, just some of the stuff that's happening. I mean, the Wiggins deal, it's an opt-in and extend rather than just rewriting the entire contract.
It's an opt-in and extend, and then the extension is like too low, way lower numbers than that initial balloon payment.
Right. So again, great job by the Miami Heat, I think, negotiating there. But it told me right away, they're not getting Norm Powell back. Right. So let's go ahead and lock in Wiggins. And the nice thing is that is a great trade asset. That's one of the most valuable, in my opinion, trade assets anybody's got right now, because you can fit that $30 million salary slot into whatever deal you want if you want to go get another guy. And Wiggins winds up being a great player that you're getting for like $17 million a year.
And it's a team option in that final year, I believe. So
and
by the way,
probably
Powell
partial guarantee.
Powell signed a very similar deal in Chicago. Big payment up front, little smaller payments at the back end of it, and I think that's also a team option. But we're seeing now teams have to get creative, right, under these aprons, and I love that. I think it's such an interesting place for the NBA to be. I think free agency is back. Like, it's not back in the way that LeBron James and Kevin Durant signed, but it's back in terms of like, hey, these players still matter, right? Like we saw Nickeil Alexander-Walker move last year, and that was a really important piece.
Restricted free agent got signed and trade for the first time in forever. It feels like a major one. Well, we'll see. I still like
a major deal.
A major deal.
A lot of numbers.
Yeah, I would love to see a little bit more Walker Kessler before I started thinking that he's worth
5 games last year wasn't enough for you.
No. And maybe in a real basketball situation, one of the things that it makes me higher on him about him is that the stories coming out were that he was tired of being messed around with and pulled out of the lineup, so that they could tank. And to me, just saying that is like, okay, well, this guy is super competitive, because players don't talk like that. They don't leak that either, right? Like everyone kind of plays the good soldier, and I actually appreciated the fact that he was like, no, I don't want to be here. We got a losing culture. I'd like to get out.
So he was on that Auburn team with Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Bruce Pearl because I was working on something about Jabari. So I had a little phone interview set up, and I talked to him about Jabari a little bit, and it was fine. Bruce Pearl's, classic college coach, salesman, just super slick, And then I asked him about Walker Kessler just out of curiosity at the end of the interview, because he's just another guy. The way he spoke about Walker Kessler was just at a different level than Jabari. I'm like, which one is supposed to be the number 1 pick? If just based on this interview, He was like, this guy's got the 3 ball. He's not even doing it in college, but just wait until he gets to the NBA. Guy's super competitive. Just glowing about this guy. And I was like, okay, this guy's officially on my radar. And then and then he got paid $130 million, whatever it was. So Yeah, I think it's a really cool spot because when you take the parity part of what's going on in the NBA, the free agency just being a different thing now. Like to me now, the
That
trade
second
deadline is for
apron is
stars.
real.
It's just the second apron is real, and now you have a free agency where now these front offices are going to be forced to negotiate, and I'm so fascinated for players like Jaylen Brown. What happens next for these kinds of players? Like he's such a great test case in all of this, and that hey, look, we can't pay two guys the max. To your point earlier, Tatum's our number one. You're our number two. Let's sit down at a table and work out a contract that makes it so we don't have to trade you in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right? Like, obviously that didn't happen now with Jaylen Brown, but seeing like these next, whatever it's going to be like, what happens in San Antonio when they eventually have to sit down with Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper and hammer out their next contract? Because Wemby's going to be the guy at the top, and then they've got to figure it out. And they're either going to be cool with it or they're not.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, I mean, there are Spurs fans especially, who are already thinking, oh, we're going to have to send Castle out in like 4 years or whatever. I mean, it's the reality of this CBA. And in a lot of ways, they've set up, it's not a hard cap, but it's performing similarly to a hard cap. And I think that, when you look at, I mean, what is it? Only OKC right now is above the second apron. Is that
because
correct?
The Knicks, unless the Knicks decide that they want to sign a backup center.
Yes, and OKC has everything it needs to get out of that situation. I assume they will, because the repeater tax is it's a hammer. So I think that they'll get out of that. And I mean, I guess it's working. If you want a league that has a lot of parity and a fat middle, this is a good way to do it. I mean, I think like Julius Randle being on the Nets is an indicator of where we're at. Because they're going to win 35 games or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's not bad. I mean, it's fine. And I think that as long as everyone's playing to stay out of it's twofold, because it's the second apron, but it's also the draft reform, which is real. And they've maybe created a league that's more like baseball, where the great teams are going to stand out. Oh, you won 100 games in baseball. Like wow, what a season you had. Maybe that's the new, like, if you win 64 games, like the Thunder did last year, they did feel like they were better than everybody else. So, you know what I mean? The Spurs winning 62. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting because this is a different league. I mean, it's a much different league. It's more, I don't know, like late 90s feeling maybe.
Yeah, baseball is a good comp. I was thinking about the NFL and how, you hear this from Warriors fans and Celtics fans, especially over the last couple of years of, oh my God, the NBA is built so that we can't keep our teams together. It's like, the NBA really wanted to ruin what you had going on in Golden State, Boston. Like,
it was the NBA that did it.
Yeah. They were really trying to make sure that they could prop up Oklahoma City and San Antonio at the big market's expense. Yeah. But look, I mean, like the Kansas City Chiefs at some point had to decide Patrick Mahomes or Tyreek Hill, and that decision was obvious.
Right.
But that's what happens, and you have to split up a duo. And the point that I always made to Warriors fans and Celtics fans and even the Thunder fans now are like, we can't keep our team together. It's like, no, you can't. You can keep the guys that you grew, like the homegrown talent and all that. Yeah. You just can't sign Isaiah Hartenstein also, or you can't also go get Derek White and pay him a bunch of money, or you can't go get Kevin Durant in the Warriors case. Like this is how it is. You have to make choices, and like the Chiefs, they made the choice. We're gonna get rid of Tyreek Hill, and we're gonna choose depth over Tyreek Hill, and then they ended up winning more Super Bowls. And I think that's still possible. It's just the NBA is still learning how to figure it out, and I think NBA fans are starting to learn how to figure it out too.
To tack on to your point, I think we're gonna maybe see stars that get a little bit of pressure to take less money. Yeah, similar to football, right?
Yep.
I mean, how many
Brunson doing what he
did. Brunson, I mean, again, it's already probably coming up in meetings with guys, when they're talking extensions or whatever.
I mean, we're talking about LeBron right now, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, LeBron kind of case, is at a point where he just like the money doesn't matter.
Right.
Although it's funny because I just still don't expect him to just straight up take a discount. Like the whole thing about him taking a minimum, it would be funny. Like if he went to Minnesota on a minimum, I'm all in. That would be amazing.
I'm with you though. I have a hard time seeing him like, LeBron's not playing at the vet min. Like he might take a portion.
Maybe he will though. Maybe he will shock us all because
maybe.
I mean, I think that if you've followed LeBron's career, the the last season was very interesting from him.
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw a lot of like humility on the basketball court, and then also a little bit of like FU at the end, right? And I like the competitive juice that he's got. I could see him just saying, you know what? I'm going to go here on a vet minimum and we're going to win. Yeah. You know, like what if he went to the Knicks or something crazy, like just something we're not thinking of. I do think that there's more on the table. There has to be more on the table than just Golden State, Cleveland, or Miami. It's like Cleveland is the storybook, you know, bookend to his career. Golden State is, I don't know, it's close to LA. It's kind of weird. Miami just doesn't make any sense to me because of the Giannis thing.
Okay, we can disagree on that.
I mean, like, is Giannis going to be down with LeBron coming to be the man there? Because it's, you know what I mean. I think Giannis.
I think if LeBron walks in and lets Giannis know, hey, you're the number one, I'm your point guard. Like I'll run the offense, but it's still going to be, you know, you're going to get the shot at the end, kind of thing. I think it could work. But you're right. There's that.
But Giannis is going to have to be on time for the team playing. You know?
That?
Giannis will have to be on time for the team playing.
He will. And LeBron will have to make sure he gets his cookies on the team playing. There'll be a lot of team playing drama in Miami.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. But I just have been thinking a lot about this. Like LeBron, you know, this is going to be his
it's almost like
season.
It's like Tom Brady signing with the Buccaneers. If we're going to keep going with the, and like he's just like, hey, this team has the defense and the run game, and I can bring Gronk. Like, cool, done. I'll just sign whatever you have available.
The Spurs was kind of interesting when that was kicked around.
Yeah.
But the Spurs apparently aren't interested. So I don't know. I mean, I do think I hope he almost doesn't go to Golden State, Cleveland, or Miami. And I rarely root for outcomes on stuff like this, but I just want to, like, a little bit of chaos would be fun.
Right. Well, I have open disdain for the idea of him ending up in Golden State. I do not want to see LeBron and
how about Denver
play with each other. I love the Denver idea. I love it. LeBron at altitude for 41 games a year. Does he like that? Does he not like it? I don't know.
Well, okay, but he's got to be load managed anyway.
True. I mean, just Jokic and LeBron sold. Like, I'm in. And make sure you keep Aaron Gordon, so in. Keep Jamal Murray, so in. Like, I love that.
Resign Peyton Watson.
Like, put him on the Pacers to see what happens.
Don't love it.
No?
Don't love it. No. I don't want them to slow down.
Yeah, he had to buy into playing that Halliburton role.
Mm-hmm. Wizards would be funny.
Just, with AD.
Yeah, just for the bit. You know, I don't know, man. Like I think that there are so many interesting options for him. But Denver, like, he puts them back in the mix to me.
Yeah. That's kind of the perfect tier of a team.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the Thunder, it's not the Spurs. So you're not like globbing on to what they got going on.
Right. Nuggets,
Denver is
Wolves,
clearly very good, but in peril.
Right.
And you can walk in to a team that won 54 games, won a championship not that long ago, has maybe still the best player on the planet on their team, and it doesn't look like you're ring chasing. You can still look like the savior. It's it's that perfect tier of team. Detroit,
I mean, Cleveland, he's got a little bit of the savior thing too.
It's true.
Because he would bring an edge that they don't have. Like, I'll tell you right now, that team is soft, and they would not be soft with LeBron.
That's a great point. I hate the idea of LeBron and Harden being on the same team. Yeah, that to me is a basketball.
Yeah, but when Harden starts like having butterfingers in the playoffs, you just LeBron, please carry us home.
Well, that's why I'm like, are we sure this is LeBron's last year, or does he do 1 year somewhere and then does Cleveland finally realizes that they don't want to be a Harden team anymore? They could trade him within the calendar year, and then LeBron goes there for the.
I don't know. I can't imagine he wants to keep doing this. You know, this thing every summer, it's got to be exhausting.
Yeah. He doesn't want to end up doing like the assassins thing.
Yeah.
Every year.
The mercenary. Yeah.
Mercenary is what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Fascinating stuff. Jaylen Brown traded. LeBron James, where is he going to end up? But this is Good Take. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break, and coming out, we have our takes coming up. First time with Dave DuFour. So excited. It's coming up next. All right, it is time for Good Take, where every week we share the very best takes about the things in and around the NBA that we've been cooking up during the week. We've each prepared our own takes, and after we share them, We'll post both of these takes on the YouTube communities page, and you guys will get to vote on the winner. Dave, you're the guest. You're up first. Your good take.
The East is back. The East is deeper now than the West. With all the moves that we've seen over the course of the last year, I would say, trade deadline, including now this free agency period, the draft, I think that the East is the deepest it's been since the late 90s. There are actually, it's a more of a bloodbath situation than the West is going to be this season. I think the West, you've got the clear top two and then everyone else. And then the East, you've got the Knicks, but the Knicks are beatable, it feels, right? And so I just think it's anyone's ball game in the East. And every night is probably going to be must watch because there's going to be 8 teams with a chance to come out of the East.
It's a great take. You have 8 teams.
I'm give or take. Spitballing. 6 to 8. Give or take.
Okay.
Yeah, and none of that's real once it comes playoff times, right? Because like Orlando, what are they going to look like come playoff time?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go ahead. What's your 7?
I had not in any real particular order, but I had the Knicks, Pacers, Pistons. I put the Cavs on my list because they win a lot of basketball games. Like, do they have a chance to come out of the East? Yes. I have and I just lost my place. I have the Raptors with Kawhi. Mm-hmm. I have the Heat with Giannis. Mm-hmm. I still think the Heat are going to do some other things here this offseason to shore up some of those question marks. And I think that's 7. Did I miss anybody? Did I say Detroit?
Sixers.
The Pacers and the
Sixers. You
didn't
say Sixers.
The Sixers I have, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the Celtics are kind of
flirting with
potentially.
Yeah.
But that's 8. And that doesn't even mention Orlando, who, if they're healthy, they're still tough. It doesn't mention Charlotte, who may not even be done yet, but they may not drop off as much as people think going from LaMelo to Kobe White. A lot of that's going to be about Kobe White being healthy. Yep. I think Naz Reid really helps them. Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen, like those are 2 guys they did not have coming off the bench last year. Like they were not as deep as a lot of teams that were better than them. So really, like
it doesn't include Atlanta, who I like a lot, but
doesn't include the Hawks. So what is that, like 11 teams now or 10 teams that we've said?
And you go back to what you said earlier too about like a team like Brooklyn, right? Like these teams just got better. Washington's going to be better. Brooklyn's going to be better. Chicago's going to be better. Milwaukee will be worse. But that's it.
I'm not look, Chicago, we'll see, man. I don't,
maybe a little bit better.
I don't have a lot of faith.
But they won 31 games last year. Like they're not gonna. But as these teams try to stay out of that relegation zone, you've seen like what the bottom of the East was such a dumpster fire last year that they can't afford to be so dumpster fiery anymore. That they have no choice but to be even a little bit better. So these teams aren't going to win a bunch of games, but the games that they're playing are going to be a lot more competitive than they were last year.
Oh, I think we'll have. Will a team in the East win 55 games?
Oh, you think it'll kind of squash?
I think so last year you had a 60-win team and then the Celtics won 56.
Right.
Like, I don't think there's a 60-win team unless the Knicks really just, this whole thing that they've been doing, did during the playoffs is just, okay, now we're a buzzsaw, which happens with
time. Yeah, we see this happen with reigning champs.
All
they
the
just
time.
Take the regular season really seriously.
And so maybe that happens and they come back and they just, run roughshod over everybody. But I don't think so. I just think it's a harder league to do that 2 seasons in a row. Mm-hmm. We'll see. But yeah, I just think it's so competitive. And the Bucks will probably be the worst team in the East. Unless they hang on to Tyler Hero and Jaime Jaquez, and Miles Turner, what if they put out a team that's the 11 seed? I think that's possible. So
Taylor Jenkins is a good coach. So
he is a good coach. Yeah. It's a really fascinating thing the way this is switched. Now, I would still say, from a pure talent perspective, the most talented teams right now. Obviously, it's the Spurs, and then maybe the Thunder.
Right.
I get that, but man, when it comes to as far as every single night, just feeling like a heavyweight fight, I think that's going to be the East this season.
Well, the top 3 players in the league, in whatever order you want to put them on, are in the Western Conference, right? Between Shea, Jokic, Wemby. Mm-hmm. And then, but something interesting is happening, right? You've seen Giannis when he's getting traded. He does not want to go west.
Right.
You saw Kawhi go from the West to the East.
We just
Jaylen
talked
Brown
about
stayed in
LeBron.
the conference.
It feels like he's going to probably go East.
LeBron, yep. And then so, you're kind of seeing teams be like, all right, Western Conference, we kind of know what you're about. Like, and we don't really want anything to do with it. If we can afford it, we're going to go to the Eastern Conference, some of these stars at least. But I think you're starting to see that migration effect, right? Where now, okay, the East gets a little bit plumper, and the Western Conference is just going to be dominated by these two teams. And I still, as much of a disaster it feels like Denver Nuggets fans are in the middle of right now, you still got Jokic, man. Like, I can't shake the fact that like that team can still.
Also, Murray was great last year until the playoffs hit.
Yeah.
And Aaron Gordon is really right. Aaron Gordon's the tough one for them because his injury stuff. He can't stay on the court. And then the Cam Johnson move just taking so long to kind of click, I think really set him back. They were expecting to hit the ground running and it just didn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
Be curious to see what they wind up doing because, I know Christian Brown's probably got to get moved so that they can bring back Peyton Watson. There's a good shot. Cam Johnson's not there. Maybe they sign LeBron,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my good take is that the East is back.
It's a great take. I'm starting to think like who ends up with the most wins in the East? Like who's kind of built for that?
Well, I think it's the Knicks right now.
Yeah, I think it's the Knicks.
They still have their depth. They've got the continuity. Clearly Mike Brown is the coach for it. He really just is pushing the right buttons with them all the time. They won 53 games. This is not like it's not that big of a leap to think that they could get to 58, 60 this upcoming season.
Yep.
But I do think there's a point where they played so much basketball last year. I remember they were in the conference finals the year before. Is this the season you start to worry about the legs?
Right.
And maybe this is you tip your cap to Tom Thibodeau and his conditioning program of you guys are going to play 44 minutes a night, including in February, and you're just going to always be ready to play. But I don't know. I'd start getting a little bit nervous and wondering if they have the ability to take their foot off the gas and maybe just be a 53-win team and be ready for the playoffs.
Right.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch because I do think the seeding is going to be important because you're going to want to dodge like the Raptors. You're not going to want to play against Kawhi in a playoff series.
We are going to take one more quick break and then come back with my take. All right, I'm up with my good take. The Russell Westbrook trade is the most catastrophic trade in NBA history, and I'm talking about the Westbrook trade to the Lakers. I was thinking about this, obviously, with everything that's going on with the Lakers and LeBron James ending his 8-year tenure there. And look, LeBron's 8 years, you have to consider it a success for everything that he accomplished individually, and then winning the championship in 2020. Like he went there and won a finals. And we tend to forget how much of a mess the Lakers were in prior to LeBron just gifting them with relevancy and winning basketball, just seemingly because he wanted to live in LA in 2019, or in 2018. But it feels like still that they should have won more. Maybe not even win another championship, but at least like actually compete for one.
Yeah.
And it just so they win it in 2020.
Right.
They come back the next year. They make a couple of moves. They go get Marc Gasol. They kind of do a couple other things. I'm like, all right. And it doesn't work out. But that next year for any of those teams that went far in the bubble was just an absolute nightmare. Right. All those teams were just too shaky. They had like 3 hours of an offseason, and they had to come back and play another season.
Mm-hmm.
And then that next summer, which is essentially a calendar year, they go and make the Russell Westbrook trade. And they trade away tons of key parts of that title team. And they import Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. And whether the blame is with Rob Pelinka or Clutch or LeBron or AD or whatever, they did the trade. And I ultimately lay the blame on the Lakers because at the end of the day, you're the general manager. It's your job. You call the shots. And it felt like that cost the Lakers real chances at like contending relevancy for basically the rest of LeBron's tenure. They had been worked for the rest of LeBron's tenure up until they were gifted Luka Dončić. They were working to get out from under that trade. Because everything that they parted with, and really what they didn't do, the opportunity cost. Remember, it was reported that they were trading for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner,
right,
instead of Russell Westbrook. And then it was like that last minute about face kind of, it's going to be Westbrook coming in, and it was just such an obviously bad basketball fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even want to do like a thing on Westbrook. Like he was a very, very good player at the time. It just was never going to work, and everybody knew it. And I'm surprised that the Lakers didn't know it, and that LeBron didn't know it, and that AD didn't know it. And when you really think about what it cost, that chance, maybe another ring for LeBron James,
yeah,
and what that means in NBA history, you could argue that even more than the Luka trade, and I use the word catastrophic specifically. It's not the worst trade.
Right.
There are worse trades. There are poor.
Yeah.
The Jaylen Brown trade that we just saw is a worse trade for value.
Yeah.
Than what you. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be as catastrophic in terms of what it means for the league and league history. So I went down, Dave. I was like thinking about what else is in the running for this. The Luka trade is still there, but because they end up getting Cooper Flag and getting this like get out of jail free card, it actually isn't nearly as catastrophic as it could have potentially been. Still horrible. Sure. Still a horrible trade on its face, but not as catastrophic to the franchise long term. The Clippers trade for Paul George has to be up there.
Oh yeah.
When you consider
every trade for Paul George feels like it's catastrophic.
Paul George keeps getting traded for great stuff, by the way. It's crazy.
Don't trade for Paul George. This is my
don't
advice.
Trade for Paul. If you're in a position, don't trade for Paul George. But if you do have Paul George, make sure you trade away Paul George.
Yeah,
you get really good stuff back. But yeah, you think the Clippers get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or I'm sorry, the Thunder get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then those 5 first-round picks and the 2 swaps that end up basically becoming the Thunder, right? And what we see from them. So that was pretty catastrophic, but not. I still don't think that the Thunder, or the Clippers rather, like the Clippers gained relevancy still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we really think if the Clippers held on to Shai in those picks that they're just the Thunder? Like, I don't know that I can't go that far with it, right? Like, they don't have Sam Presti, they don't have some of the infrastructure. It's hard to just make that assumption.
Yeah.
And then the other one that's in the running is the Nets trade, when they just traded everything for the old Celtics guys, and then that set them back in a real way. But again, they weren't really giving anything up in that sense. They were looking for relevancy. They gave up a bunch of picks that ended up becoming Tatum and Brown and all that stuff. So it was very similar to the Clippers deal, but like it just didn't feel like they were giving up stuff to the same degree that the Lakers were a title team, and then they just gave it up and then worked for years to try to climb out from underneath it.
Yeah. I think that's a good take. I think it's a good take. I mean, this was it was a good team before the bubble, and I think afterwards when they blew it up, and they had no chance to come back. Period. All their assets got played essentially to get a guy that didn't fit with them at all, and from a personality standpoint didn't fit. And that to me is the biggest failure. How do you not know what happens when Russell Westbrook comes into your franchise, the good and the bad?
Right.
I just, I feel like it's the Tobias Funke meme from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
It didn't work for those other people, but maybe this time it'll be different. No, it's not. That was one everybody could see coming too. This is, and I don't think it took any sort of particular insight. I think regular average NBA fans saw that coming, so yeah, I'm with you. It was a really bad trade. Not the rug pull that the Luka trade was, but it was just devastating to their chances of winning a title, 100%. And it wound up essentially costing them, I think, a shot at a title even after they got Luka, because they had nothing to churn on the way to getting Luka.
Right. The depletion of the assets is what just killed them, and there was no way to pivot out of it, especially when they had to give up stuff to get off of Russell Westbrook.
This is why the Walker Kessler trade is potentially a problem, right? Because they've given up 2 pick swaps and 2 future firsts for a guy that is a center, number one. And by the way, he's not like the best center in the league, which means he might as well be, you know what I mean? He might as well be just like slightly above average. As far as the salary goes, because of how much he's making, unless that's a play thinking about Jokic a year from now and having a big salary that's a decent center is going to be useful potentially.
First,
but you got no firsts, right?
Yeah. But you think about the opportunity cost, not just like Hield and Turner would have been obviously good fits there. But okay, you don't do that one either. All right. I mean, you think about now that you have no assets to make trades in the future, the guys that were available, like, LeBron and Kyrie Irving eventually squashed whatever beef they had. Kyrie would have been obviously a much better fit there. Kevin Durant moved teams like 18 times. Like, could you have actually gotten him? You can go lesser names, but great players like a Pascal Siakam or an OG Anunoby. Those guys would have been perfect with those teams, right? Great values also. And you were never able to get involved for those kinds of things because you had done the Westbrook deal. And, there was that one year where the Lakers made the Western Conference Finals afterwards. And you're like, oh, wow, like, maybe they can kind of put this together. But it always felt flimsy. That's the word I always come back to with the Lakers. They just felt flimsy. It was LeBron and AD at the top, and maybe they can muster it for enough runs, but they just never had enough oomph on the backside of that roster to really make a real sustained push. And that's what you need, as we know, in the playoffs and in the NBA Finals. It felt like, for LeBron to spend 8 years there, and really only a couple of them have real relevancy in terms of the title picture, and just be like, for LeBron, I understand it was older version of LeBron, but it was still LeBron, man. Like,
it's still LeBron.
Is playing at a really high level for most of that tenure. To just kind of be like a dark horse just always felt wrong to me.
It's true. They essentially turned themselves into underdogs because they had nobody. We got Jared Vanderbilt, who can't shoot. I mean, even last year, the team, they lucked into Luka, they lucked into Austin Reeves. And, you look at what they've done this summer, it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's a home run.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, you built Luka's Dallas LA version, right? Like, that's essentially what you're trying to do, maybe, right? Like,
we'll see.
You squint and it kind of looks the same. We'll see what happens there. I'm trying to think of what title that they really would have had a chance at had they made just some better moves and just had more of a robust team. Yeah. And I think about, I still don't think that they have a chance at 21. I think it's too quick. Yeah, but
maybe 22.
22
that
is
Warriors
the one.
Team, I think maybe 22.
That's the one to me.
Would have been their shot.
And then at that point, you're starting to age out. Anthony Davis clearly wasn't the same after those years. They made the Western Conference Finals the year after that, but so maybe even those Nuggets teams were so good.
The Nuggets.
I don't think they would have beaten them, but 22 is the one, right? Because you still have prime Anthony Davis. Yeah, you still have prime LeBron,
and that Nuggets team really owned the Lakers. Yeah, in particular. Yeah, that matchup. Yeah, but Russell Westbrook, man, that's a guy historically, the conversation around him is going to be very interesting 5 years from now.
It's one of those things where if you're a Westbrook fan, you love Westbrook, and I get it, man. The guy plays super hard, plays as much as he can. I get it. And when he was great, But the context around Westbrook and his impact on teams, the track record is what it is, and it's not great. The resume just sort of isn't awesome in terms of the team success part of it.
Think he'll play in Brooklyn?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. He's a free agent and still ostensibly wants to play basketball. And Brooklyn's interesting. I heard Washington, which it sounds like Trae Young and Russell Westbrook.
That's insane.
What?
That's insane. Don't do that.
Please don't do that. Do not do that.
I like what Washington's doing. Don't do that.
Still a capable guy who could dribble the ball back and forth and pass it to his teammates.
For Brooklyn, go. Sacramento, bring him back. Bring him home.
Oh my God. Bring him home to Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean,
he's already hit the Sacramento level of the barrel.
Yeah.
There's really not many other places to go.
Bulls, let's go. Sign him. Let's do it. Westbrook,
Chicago, I like.
Anthony Simons.
Chicago, I like.
He can help set the culture a little bit. Yeah.
The idea of importing him to a team that had previously been tanking to show them how to play really hard, I like that. Even throw him into the locker room in Utah. I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, fair enough.
I wouldn't do that. You can't be good and young and add Russell Westbrook. You can be bad. You got to
be bad and young and add Russell Westbrook. That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't think you can be good and add Russell Westbrook. Let's just say.
Right. You don't really need any more additives to that. Dave DuFour, the Athletic NBA Daily, does a terrific job over there. Go check it out. And that is it for this week's Good Take. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to on YouTube and wherever it is that you get your podcast. RealGM Radio. We'll be back on Monday with the Double Dribble with Mo Tequila and Jared Dubin, who are going to catch you up on all the offseason news from the weekend. In the meantime, have a great 4th of July holiday.